myself this time, and yeah, I will introduce the stream. So I'm taking part in Emily Harvey Art's eHearts Market this weekend, and the last time we did this I did a live plan with me on the Sunday, and a few people joined me and I really loved it. So I thought, why not do it as part of the market this weekend? And I have just launched the Just 90 Goals planner this weekend as part of the market. So I thought to myself, why not do the plan with me in the new goals planner? And then there's an opportunity for people to see it, to ask questions if they're interested, or just to see me planning my goals. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm hoping someone can hear me. Hello, hi Sarah. Nice to have you here in the stream. I'm glad that someone can hear me. That's brilliant. So now I've got official confirmation. I will carry on talking. Yeah, I have absolutely loved being a part of the market again this weekend. I think there's over 150 sellers this time, so if you've not checked out some of the other sellers, I've got oh, thank you, girl. I've got a list of other, I've got a list of the market websites where you can find all the shops over in my Instagram bio, so you can find them all there. I've definitely got some things in my basket that I'm going to have a look at after this and check a few things out. But today, yeah, I really wanted to show you the Just 90 planner. So I created this planner because I was finding that I was getting very swept up in the kind of day-to-day things that we have to do, and the kind of bigger goals that I have for my life and how I want it to be. I was finding that I would set goals. I got that far. I would set goals, but I couldn't quite get there. I was having a kind of block on actually being able to incorporate my goals into the day-to-day. And I realised that the planning systems I had and that are kind of out there in general were missing a way to break it down into how you're going to get from your goals to a kind of set of actionable steps that you can take that will get you piece by piece by piece to that end point that you've got for your vision for your life. So I devised a Just 90 planner, and it was kind of trial and error of using some of these methods and seeing what worked and what didn't, which was kind of taken from research I'd done into best goal setting practices, planning practices, etc., and kind of compiled everything all in one place. So if I show you the planner, I've gone with a bit of a pastel yellow because yellow is kind of the main plan, inspire, create colour, but I didn't want it to be too in your face in case yellow isn't your bag. So the dividers, and there's kind of pops of yellow, but the majority is kind of a muted grey and white. So you can kind of mix it up with your favourite colours if you wish. The patterning on the cover carries through to all the dividers, and the dividers are laminated over the tabs so that the tabs are more hard wearing and they're not going to bend with use. And then there are some lovely quotes pages throughout just to give you a little kick of motivation as you move through the planner. So there are 6 sections. If I zoom you in, we'll have a little look. So you start by setting your vision, so how you want your life to look like, a kind of big picture. Once you've kind of got an idea of that in all the different areas of your life, and I'll show you that in more detail, you go on to break down your goals. You're going to set goals that will help you work towards your vision. In fact, this is much easier for me to show you. This is kind of the model that we're working with. I'm more of a visual person, so this helps me, as well as the kind of written explanation. So you start with your kind of big picture vision, and then for each 90-day period, what you're going to do is you are going to pick 2 or 3 goals, depending on how big they are and how much time you think you've got to devote to them. You're going to pick 2 or 3 goals that are going to help get you closer to that vision. And obviously it's not going to be able to encompass everything, but the planner helps you prioritize what to work on first. Then for your goals, you're going to set 2 or 3 projects that can help you really reach those goals. So what projects can you undertake? So for example, this time, one of my goals was growing my business. Obviously it was more specific than that, but growing my business. And one of the projects was launching the Just 90 planner. So that was something I did in the 90-day period just gone, that we're now coming to the end of, that helped get me towards that goal. And then with that project, what I did was break it down into actions and habits. So the actions are things, it's a series of one-off steps that you're going to take in a kind of sequence, a set sequence that's going to get you to that end point. And then the habits are things that you're going to implement on a regular basis that are hopefully going to become a part of your normal routine. So the planner is kind of developed in that way, really, where section 1 helps you really kind of craft that vision for your life and really drill down what it is that's important to you and where you want to put your focus. Section 2 helps you setting your goals, prioritising what to work on first. Section 3, you plan your projects. I will go through these in more detail. Section 4, in month 1, it's then split up into 3 months. Now, a month doesn't have to be a calendar month. It can just be a 4-week period. And on the monthly plans, there's a space to put a start and end date on there. So you're going to set your plans for month 1, 2 and 3. And then you're going to plan out your first 4 weeks. So where are you going to fit these actions in? Taking into account the other things you've got going on in your life. So not just splitting them equally, because it might be that you're on holiday 1 week and then another week you haven't got much going on and you could get more done then. So we're going to plan that all in advance. And then at the end of the first 4-week period, we're going to do a review, and as well as looking at what worked, what didn't, what you're proud of, we're going to look at what you might need to do differently in months 2 and 3 to help you stay on track, because chances are it's not going to go 100% as you envisaged. These things never do. So we're going to then in month 2, the first thing you do is you replan months 2 and 3 and where you're going to put your focus, because what we want to do is not just do the plans and then they don't work, things kind of go off the rails a bit and you drift further and further from where you wanted to be. We want to actually make sure we keep shifting you back where you need to be to make sure you get as close as possible to that end point you envisaged. So the same again, you'll plan out the next 4 weeks, you do the end of month check-in, you carry what you've learned over to month 3, which is obviously your kind of last sprint to get to the end of the 90 days. And you're going to do the same, set your priorities, break it down. And then at the end of the 90 days, there's a big opportunity to reflect on how it went. So you're going to reflect on your progress for each of your goals individually. And then you're going to reflect on the 90 days in general, where you are in terms of your vision, what lessons you've learned, what you're proud of, how you're going to celebrate your achievements, what you'd like to spend more and less time on. So you're really going to capture those things so that they don't just get forgotten. And then this is an exercise in the first section, which I'll show you, which is a life satisfaction check-in. So there's 8 areas of your life listed here, and I'm actually going to do mine live on the live in a moment. So what you're going to do is the sections are physical, emotional, home and family, social and community, professional, spirituality and values, financial and passion. And what you're going to do is you're going to score each of them from 1 to 10, with 10 being the best it could be, depending on how satisfied you feel you are with your life in those areas. And then you're going to make some notes on why you've scored it that way. So there's no right or wrong. There's no kind of right or wrong way to score. It's what makes sense for you. It's obviously, all of this is very, very personal. I will be sharing videos on this on my YouTube channel, and that is something I've done, is kind of share my planning in that way, in a very kind of personal way. But for me, if I wasn't doing this, then this probably would be something that was very, very personal, that I wouldn't necessarily show to other people. This is yours to kind of work towards your dreams that you have. So but you do it however is best for you. And then you have this going into the next 90 days. And what we do at the end of the 90 days is we get started on the next one. So if I take you back to the very, very start. So at the beginning of the planner, there's some general information about the planner and how it can benefit you, how 90-day planning can benefit you as opposed to setting annual goals. I do truly believe that setting kind of quarterly 90-day goals is much, much more productive and achievable than setting annual goals. So this is what I've been doing and what I will be doing from now on. I won't be setting kind of, at the beginning of the year, you won't see me setting, these are my goals for the year, because I will be following this method and keep refreshing every 90 days. So there's an introduction to the planner, what you can expect, a lovely picture of me and some information about the creator if you don't know who I am, and then we're into the first section. So this first section is the vision section, and this is intended to kind of stay with you and not be repeated every quarter. So the idea is that you complete these exercises and you set a vision for how you want your life to be. And I suggest redoing this section maybe once a year, or after a big life change or a big life event. How it works with the planner is, just so you're aware, that there are going to be refill packs for this planner. I designed it with the idea that it was going to be minimal waste and also very cost effective, because what I didn't like the idea of was having a planner that you essentially, this entire thing would be rendered useless after the 90 days. I didn't like the idea of that at all. I just felt that would be very wasteful and could become very, very pricey for people trying to follow this method. So the reason that I went for a disc bound system was that you're going to be able to purchase refill packs. So once a quarter, you would just purchase the refill packs that would replace the planning pages that you will have filled in, because some of this is written, it's a learning resource as well as a planner. So you will replace those essential planning pages and it'll come with instructions on which ones you need to replace. But you will also be able to buy a larger reset pack which also replaces section 1. So when you feel it's time to refresh your vision, then you can also do that and buy the reset pack to refresh this first part. But this is a brand new planner for me, so the first section hasn't been filled in, but I have completed the first 2 exercises in here. So the first exercise is about what led you here. So if you've bought a planner like this, the chances are that maybe something isn't working for you, how your current methods, maybe you're not getting the results that you have hoped for, or maybe you just feel like you need a fresh start, or there's something you want to achieve that you don't know where to start, or you haven't been able to get there. So the first exercise is to really think about what's led you here, how you want to feel, what you want to accomplish, maybe the things you don't want anymore, and an important point that I think I've noted in this planner is that it's your planner. There's no right or wrong way to fill it in. So if you are more of a visual person, if you sometimes like to draw things, do mind maps, use colour, whatever it is, you do it how you want to do it. And don't worry about it being all neat and tidy, because it's being functional for you. So with that said, my handwriting is not as lovely as I would like it to be, but that is just one. I don't have a time or inclination to sit and do handwriting drills every day, so we are where we are. If anyone has any questions throughout, by the way, feel free to just jump in. So I filled in my thoughts here, so just to kind of give a bit of a summary so you know where I'm at. Kind of what brought me here is going through a big life change. So I went through a separation earlier this year, and I feel like I've made a lot of progress in the past year in kind of showing up for myself and kind of loving myself a bit more and feeling like I deserve good things, if that makes sense. And I don't want to lose momentum with that. So I've said that I want to use this planner to make sure I'm living with an intention and getting closer to the type of life I want to live. And then some of the notes that I made are I want to make big progress professionally, but at the same time I don't want it to take over my life. This feels a little bit vulnerable reading these out to you, I'm not going to lie. I want to be able to live a life I will enjoy without it being at the expense of my health, because I have a chronic illness. I have fibromyalgia, and I can struggle with my mental health as well, so it's tricky to find a balance. I want to feel happy, calm and in control. I want to inspire others, and I want to be financially independent. So those are some initial thoughts that I had. And then there is a page here about the importance of self-care throughout this process, which I think is really important. Like I said, I felt a bit vulnerable sharing some of those things, and going through a process like this, sometimes you can realise things that are a bit uncomfortable to realise. Maybe you realise that you're unhappy with parts of your life, and you hadn't quite realised how unhappy you were, or that you weren't satisfied in different areas. Maybe it throws up that you might want to change something, and that feels a little bit daunting. There's just the possibility for it to raise some things that make you feel a little bit nervy, or, you know, a little bit emotional, or whatever it might be. So there's no rush to do this first section. I'd say take breaks when you need them. Come back when you're ready. I'm the type of person that's tempted to try and push through things and think, no, I just want to get it done. But I think you're more likely to craft a vision for your life that you truly resonate with if you take the time to process those difficult emotions or decisions that arise. So that's my little PSA about self-care. And then the next part is, where is life today? So you're going to take a snapshot of where your life is when you start this process, which is really good to look back on. So you can really see then how far you've come. So I really like doing this from the point of view of thinking it's about kind of drawing a line in the sand and saying, this is where I start today, and we'll see where I get to. So some of the things that I've written here about my life and who I am, etc., is obviously I had a separation earlier in the year, but my relationship with my ex is still good. We still spend time together. But I've been living with my mum for the past 7 months, temporarily, if that can be called temporarily, while I found somewhere more permanent to live, and I'm in the process of buying a house. It just isn't ready yet. It's taking forever. All of this has been taxing on my mental health, and I see a counsellor once a fortnight. My physical health is temperamental due to my fibromyalgia, and I have a tendency to do too much and then I have flare-ups. That is the story of my life. I definitely have a tendency to take on too much because I get very passionate about things that I care about, and yes, things, it's like I said about not wanting things to be at the expense of my health. I have a good friend, Aaron, and we meet up a few times a week. I don't really have any other friends I spend kind of in-person time with. I wish I had a closer relationship with my siblings. They don't live local. I run Plan Inspire Create full time, and I'm really trying to build up the business. And I also have a blog and podcast about autism that I run with my friend Aaron. I love doing creative things and feel lucky that I'm able to do this in my work. I wish I also had time to do this out of work and would like to find more balance in that respect. I'd also like to restart learning the ukulele, which is something I was doing pre-COVID. I love playing games and spending time outdoors. I have my beautiful dog Maggie that I walk twice a day. So that's kind of what I've said about where life is now, which is very, very different than the last time I sat and wrote down kind of where life is now, which was maybe, I don't know, a year and a quarter ago. But that's why it's good to kind of do this periodically and to kind of reset it. So then you move on to the life satisfaction check-in that I showed you. That's at the end. So it's that same idea of putting a line in the sand in terms of where you are, but how happy you are with where you are. Is that really where you want it to be? And something that I say is, be sure to think about what your feelings are, not what you think others expect you to feel or what is kind of expected in society or whatever it might be. Try and focus on what would really feel right for you as an individual. So I'm going to fill this in now. I'm going to try and fill it in with you. It'd be interesting if you could maybe have a think about what you would score some of these. So I'm going to do 1 to 10 in the different areas. Let me grab a different pen. Here we go. And I'm going to make some notes about where I feel I am, and I'll share them with you. So physical. Physical. I would maybe score my physical a 6. So as to why I would score it a 6, that's higher than I would have scored it because I have been trying to focus on building strength, because I had a physiotherapist in the past when I was going through the process of getting my fibromyalgia diagnosis that told me to stop doing everything so they could try and identify what was aggravating my symptoms, obviously not realising that it was fibromyalgia. And because I stopped everything, I kind of lost that fitness. So I have been building up my strength, so that's a positive. But I've had to stop doing that because I've injured my knees now and I'm waiting for a physio referral. So I've had an old injury. I think it's an old injury, unless it's something different that's flared up. So I have been building strength. But I'm now limited due to knee pain. I need to strike a better balance, a better balance so that I have less flare-ups. What else do I think about our physical? And I'm also waiting for surgery. So I don't mind saying, I've said before on this channel when I've been talking about my goals and things, that I went through IVF previously, and as a result of that, I'm now waiting for surgery. The IVF had to be stopped because they found a large fibroid that needs removing. It's fine. It's not causing too much damage. It is painful sometimes, but basically the hormones from IVF or the hormones from pregnancy would make it go even bigger, and chances are that's also limiting any pregnancies. So I am waiting for surgery, but I don't really know when, so it's hard to plan for that, because they told me the waiting list was probably 1 to 2 years. That was about 4 months ago. So I'm awaiting surgery, and what that will mean is it will be a difficult recovery after, so that's going to knock me physically. So that's where I feel I am, physical wise. So emotional, is a hard one, because obviously things life-wise have been very difficult. I've gone through some of the most difficult life events, and I'm still so, but then I feel emotionally stronger than I was previously. So I'm gonna say a 7. And I'm gonna start with that positive. Feel stronger and more able to cope than I have in the past. And I like my counsellor because it's taken me a while to find someone that I feel understands me. Being autistic as well, sometimes I just feel a bit misunderstood, but I feel like she gets where I'm coming from. Negative or difficult things, I'm gonna say still going through difficult life events. So that's kind of where. Plus, I do have ongoing mental health difficulties. Like before all this, I was seeking support anyway. So that's a factor. But to score it at a 7, I'd say for me that's good. Home and family. Let's have a little drink. Home and family is a tricky one, because obviously I am in limbo home-wise, and my family makeup's majorly changed. But I don't think family necessarily is always the people that you're related to by blood. I think a lot of people have shown up for me, and yeah, dunno, let's have a think. I'm gonna put 5. I'm gonna put 5 out of 10, because I am very close with my mum. Which is why it's at a 5 and not completely dire. But I am waiting for my home to be ready, and I guess feeling a bit displaced and in limbo. obviously a big plus is my little girl, who is a dog, not a human. My little girl Maggie, my little cockapoo. She has been with me this whole time at my mum's, and yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way. So this is difficult because it's affected a lot by external factors. When my house is ready, I feel like I can focus on home more, and I think that'll have benefits in the family area as well, because I kind of won't have that stress and all those things to do. It'll free up some time. So that's what I'm thinking there. Social and community. I would rate that a 6. Yep, that's what I said, so we're right in it. Rate that a 6. Plus is great friendship with Aaron. And I feel connected with other people online. So obviously, first and foremost, my lovely patrons. Having the Patreon community is so nice. It's nice to be able to pop in on the Discord and everyone just kind of share how they're doing in their weeks and things. I really love it. Kind of spur each other on, and everyone's support has been lovely in kind of releasing the planner and things. So yeah, lovely patrons, but also I do feel connected to people with similar interests online. Interests online, but I feel I'm missing that in person, apart from Aaron, obviously. When he watches this back, just a note to say that it's an add-on. It's not because you're not enough as a friend. I always feel bad scoring things like friendships, family, when you say like, oh, I'm not sure. It's like exactly where I'd want it to be, because I'd hate people to take it as a criticism. But and I guess that's one of the other reasons why you might not share this ordinarily. But yeah, it you know, if you have one friend or one family member that you're close to and they go away, it's then easy to quickly feel isolated, because you haven't kind of got that network. And as much as I love the online connections, I think it would just be nice to have in person more as well. I did used to go to a couple of groups in the week, which helped me out a lot socially, but one I didn't really gel with that well, and the other one closed down in COVID and never reopened, so that was a shame. Professional. How satisfied am I professionally? This has got to get the biggest score. I'm gonna say 8. I'm gonna say 8. And I'm going to say that because I love what I do. That's so important for me. I feel I get to be creative. I have forged connections with lovely people. It is my passion, and I'm gonna say there is a lot more I want to achieve. So I'm not unhappy with it, I just have a lot of dreams for it, I guess. Like, I feel like I'm in the very early stages of building it up and introducing new things. This has been a big milestone for me, releasing a whole planner. That's something that I really, really wanted to do, and yeah, to be able to do that has been great. There are lots of things on my list that I would like to achieve. I am going to put, I have been working too much because I need to balance it with my health, and I don't think that's been happening. And other things, social things, everything really. Spirituality and values. I tend to think of this more in terms of values and like what are important values to me, and am I living by those? Am I kind of practicing those? And I'm going to say 7. I'm going to say 7. And I'm going to say I feel proud of what I'm putting out in the world, especially through my business, but not just through my business, also through my blog and podcast about autism. I try and support people that way. So I feel proud of what I put out into the world. And I try and create things that will have a positive impact on other people. And that's really important to me to do. So whether that's, like I said, through my business, through my blog and podcast, or whether it's actually in-person relationships, that's what I try and do. And yeah, that's that. I feel mostly satisfied with it. I don't know exactly what I would do differently. I don't feel like I'm doing like a 10 out of 10 stellar job at it, but at the same time I am satisfied with it. That's a 7. That's what I would determine a 7. Financial, this is going to be low. This is going to be 4. Yeah, I've said it. This is going to be a 4. I work on Plan, Inspire, Create full time, but it's at the early stages in terms of a business, so it's not bringing in a full-time income. But because I'm working, yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. But I feel positive that I'm growing it, but there's a lot more work to do to become more financially stable. That's just a fact. So this is where it becomes an issue where I work too much because I'm focusing on the financial more, being very, very honest with myself and anyone watching. So business is in early stages, and anything I'm making really I'm putting straight back in. Like everything I'd made off my shop went into developing the planner, so yeah, or upgrading equipment or things like that really. Business is in early stages, but it is growing. Yeah, I'm going to leave that there for now. And then passion, I'm going to put at a 8. So I'm going to say that I feel privileged to be able to do what I love for work. But I would like to bring that more into other areas. I would like to work on, I'd like to be able to kind of indulge passions that aren't work related. And to find the time to create just for fun. Not everything has to be Plan Inspire Create related. Want to create just for fun. Okay, and then the instructions say, take some time to reflect on what you've written and think about which areas of your life you might want to prioritise. You might want to put a star next to those areas to help you remember later on. So that's what I'm going to do now. I might even use some star-shaped stickers because I love an opportunity to put a sticker somewhere. So let's grab some stars. I know I've got some. Where are you, stars? What colour shall we use? Got some there. Let's use some of those up. So now I'm not necessarily going to prioritise the ones that have the lowest scores, and that might seem daft, but the kind of point is, we'll come to this later on, this is just the initial thoughts, but you can't do it all at once. And I'm going to put a star on financial because that is super important. I'm going to put a blue one on. But that is going to link really with professional because that's the way I'm going to improve my finances. So I'm probably going to put matching stars on those because they link. And then the other one's going to be home and family because that feels really what's the word? Yeah, it just feels unsettled. So I'm going to put a light blue star on home and family. So that's my initial thoughts, that I might like to prioritise those. So when I come back to this later on, when I am setting my vision, I am going to remember that. So now I'm going to flick through the rest of the planner so that you can see those first sections in more detail. So once you've done the life satisfaction check-in, you're really starting to think how you might want life to be different. And in the past, this is what I would have done, is you think, right, I want to make progress in the areas of home and family and kind of professional financial. And so I need to think about how I'm going to do that. But if you rush straight to the how, you might face obstacles and just quickly decide it's impossible, it feels too overwhelming, and it all just feels too much and you can't quite do it. So this is why we need more work to be done up front so that the vision you create is really something solid and that you connect with it emotionally and that it's actually taken into account the reality of your commitments and responsibilities. Because this is the other mistake people make, is they have all these things they want to do, but they haven't taken into account how it's going to fit around the responsibilities that they already have and that they have to continue doing. So that is kind of the idea of this section, is to craft a vision you're really connected to, and then you'll really relate to it on a deeper level, and you'll be able to start shifting your thinking to seeing it as an actual reality, not just a kind of distant pipe dream that may or may not come true. It is a reality for you. So the first thing is to think about what's important to you, so what happiness means, what success means, what you might want to add to your life, your commitments and responsibilities, whether they actually make you happy, whether you want to add anything or take anything away. And then using your imagination. So in the future, what will have actually mattered to you? What won't have mattered? And what will people think of you in your ideal world? The next section is something that I shared with my patrons actually as a little preview on the podcast last month. And it's an exercise on limiting beliefs. So the things that we believe about ourselves that can really hold us back. And the idea is to kind of work through those ahead of starting this process so that you can kind of remove some of those obstacles before you start. So there's a whole list of prompts and instructions on how you can recognize your limiting beliefs and make a note of them. And then we're going to flip the script on that. So there's a whole bunch of kind of reflection questions for you to pick them apart and think about whether they're really accurate, where they might have come from, what you could stand to gain if you did the opposite of those. And then you're going to rewrite your beliefs but changing them into positive, empowering statements. So the example that I give is, I used to think that I couldn't show my face on YouTube because I'm shy and I'll be awkward and people won't like it. And then obviously I did do it and I wondered why I'd not done it sooner. If I flipped that, it might become, I can show my face on YouTube because I have interesting things to share with others and I can practice until I feel comfortable. So the idea is that you're going to flip all those around and then you're going to read them aloud. And that might feel a bit strange, a bit silly. Ideally, do it in the mirror, even as uncomfortable as it seems, to just start changing your mindset about yourself and building your confidence. So that's that exercise. And then you're really starting now to put together your vision. So you want to look back on some of those previous exercises that you've done and just start making some initial notes of how you'd like your life to look and feel in the 8 areas we talked about in the life satisfaction check-in. And then once you're happy with that, you're going to write out your vision statements for the 8 different areas. So I'm going to be doing these on my YouTube channel, so if you want to plan along with me when you get the planner, you can. It's an opportunity to see how someone else does it. You don't necessarily have to do it exactly the same way, but sometimes I know I quite like to see an example of how other people do things because I feel a bit overwhelmed if I have no example at all, if that makes sense. And also can just kickstart other thoughts about your own life. So you write out your vision statements and that is section 1 complete. So you have your vision here to look back at. You might want to put a page flag here so you can easily flip to it. And then you're on your goals section. So I explain the process of breaking down your goals and there's some examples in here that show how that works and basically what makes a good goal. There's some information here about kind of achieving a balanced life, what that really means and how you choose what to focus on. And we're going to jot down some ideas for potential goals, just some initial thoughts. Then there's some information about what actually makes a good goal, how you need to write them, how you need to kind of structure them and think about them for them to be achievable and kind of realistic, really. But also considering the cost. So for everything we try and complete, there's always going to be a cost to it, whether there's the time it takes to complete, maybe it'll cost money, maybe you feel out of your comfort zone, it might impact on your health. So it's about thinking about those sacrifices and weighing up whether that goal is worth it or not. And then you're going to write out your goals. So there's 3 double page spreads for your goals. The third goal is obviously an optional one, depending on whether you can take on, it depends kind of on the size of your goals and the time available, whether it's a good idea to take on a third. So these double page spreads really get you to think about not just writing a goal, but how you'll know you've completed it. How will it move you closer to your vision? What could happen if you don't achieve it? what kind of projects could help you achieve it. And you're going to brainstorm some here, but you won't be able to complete them all. So you'll decide on 2 or 3, but some of these you might carry forward to the next 90 days if you feel that they are still relevant projects. So you can capture them and make sure that they're not lost. So you're going to do that for your 3 goals. And then you've done section 2. So section 3 is where the real kind of nitty-gritty planning happens. So the best thing to do is to do your planning, all your planning, as much of it as you can do up front, because you're not, then when it's the time to actually do and get on and achieve, you're not being interrupted by having to keep stopping and thinking what comes next. You can just fly through the list. So in this section, you're really going to learn how to break down your projects, consider your current commitments and whether you can realistically take them on in the time available, and consider how you're going to stay on track. So how you're going to keep that momentum going. So these are your project plan pages, and there's a start and end date here that you can use. It might be that you work on your projects, all of them, for the whole 90 days. It might be that you prefer to do some projects in month 1, some projects in month 2, and so on. It's up to you how you work best, whether you prefer to do just a few projects at a time or have kind of multiple things on the go. And it depends what they are. It might be that it's something that needs to span the whole 90 days, or it might be something that has a shorter deadline. So you're going to write the description of your project and how it will help you work towards your goal, and then any habits that you want to implement and how often, and then any actions and the deadline. And it works best if you write your actions out in order. So what I like to do is have a scrap piece of paper and do it on there, then kind of number them and put them in order on here. So you've got lots and lots of project plan pages. I wouldn't recommend more than 3 projects maximum. And I would say if you were doing 2 goals, 3 projects. If you were doing 3 goals, maybe 2 projects on each, because you don't want to spread yourself too thin. So you've got all your project plans in here. And then we're going to stop and think about whether this is actually feasible. So is it going to work? What are your current commitments? So we're going to make a note of all of those. And then what you're going to do on the next page is you're going to use this timetable to block out what a kind of standard week would look like for you. So you're going to fill in the hours down the side that you are normally awake for, because I know it can be different for maybe some people do night shifts or whatever it is. And you're going to block out what you would do at certain times, where you're actually going to work on these goals, and see if you can fit it all in. I like colour coding, which is why I've left space for a key up here if you want to use different colours and you can write down what they mean. And there's some tips here on how best to do that. So you've got instructions, examples, and you can fill that in. And if you can't make it work on paper, it's not going to work in real life. So you'll want to scale back either your goals or your projects or both, because you don't want to stretch yourself too thin. So then there's information about obstacles and what might get in the way, and kind of common obstacles that people face and how you can avoid these. So this is something you can keep looking back on. And there's an opportunity to think about your goals and what might get in the way before you get started. So by this point, you should be super connected to your goals, your projects, your vision, and be really passionate to get started. So the last thing in this section is to create a vision board. Now I've left an empty spread here, but some people like to do it outside the planner so they can like hang it on their wall or wherever it might be, somewhere they can see it. And the idea is that you will actually look at that vision board on a regular basis as a motivator to keep you going to that end point and what you want to achieve. and there's some information here on how the process of that actually helps you achieve your goals and make it more likely that you will achieve them. And then we're into our months. So like I said before, you're going to plan them up front. You're really going to look at all of these sections. They have very reflective questions in them. So it's kind of like a guided planner, because you've got the learning resource with the kind of reflective elements that you might get in a journal. So it's really taking the best elements of everything and combining it all in one, rather than trying to do things all in different places. So you'll decide what you're going to be focusing on, what you hope to have achieved. So you're really doing these things ahead of time. You're not just getting started and winging it, which has been my approach in the past. Just, oh my God, there's lots to do, we need to just get going. You need to really think about this in advance. And my favourite question here is, what excites me about this monthly plan? Because you can really, it gives you that kind of push to think, this isn't just a list of stressful things I need to do. This is a list of things I've chosen to do because of this reason. So it's got some really lovely questions in here. So like I said, you do that for your months. You plan out your weeks, and you have your end of month check-in, and you take that right through to the end where you do the big reflection and see how far you've come, which is always my favourite part, because you will have come a long way. If you really kind of dive in and do this, it can carry you forward so quickly. Since I've been following this kind of 90-day planning method, I've made significant progress towards my bigger life goals that I'd just never made before, and that's why I wanted to turn it into a planner, because I was just really passionate about it as a method. So yeah, that is the planner. Obviously there's lots more in here that I haven't gone through in detail. It's just a snapshot of what you can expect to find inside. It comes on the clear discs. There is information on the website. Actually, there is a list of kind of other videos and resources that I think might help at planinspirecreate.com/just90. That also has more information about the planner if you are interested, and you can always contact me if you have any questions. And yeah, I make sure they've got the frosted acetate cover on so that it protects your planners. So yeah, today is the last chance to get 25% off if anyone is interested, using the code EHEARTS. So go ahead and check it out on my Etsy shop. Thank you so much for joining me. I am going to head off to walk my lovely dog Maggie now. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and yeah, don't forget to check back on my channel to see other plan with me's that I do in this planner, as well as my everyday planner. And maybe subscribe if you're not a subscriber already, so that you don't miss out on those. And I will see you very soon, I hope. Bye.